because it's showing it on Twitch. It's just there's a delay. I forgot.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right,
all
cool.
right. Well, welcome to another episode of Panicle Podcast for Geeks. This one will be about The Mandalorian. Um, so anyone who has not caught up on The Mandalorian, or for some odd reason has not seen The Mandalorian, will probably have a bunch of um, spoilers in it. You don't need to see my trash can. That's why I put it down there. So I assume you
Spoilers
watched.
abound.
So let's get started. I assume you watched
Yeah,
the latest episode of The Mandalorian yesterday. Uh,
absolutely.
thoughts? I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, man. It's there's always a concern when there is a follow up or a sequel of some kind that it's not going to measure up to the first one. So I was going in with that kind of trepidation, and man, they delivered.
Yeah, I
Dude, they
agree.
delivered.
Yeah, there was a moment where I'm just like, sometimes you feel like they try to um, uh, please the crowd a little too much. I thought they did a good job with it, but there's that moment where I thought they were going to give too much in to what
Too
people were
much. Yeah.
demanding, and then you get stuck with um, garbage. I guess I don't know how else to
Yeah.
say it.
And I got to tell you, that was in the back of my mind. Although I am one of those who is, I'm into the fan service, man. I love it.
I like it
So
to a degree, but I feel like what ends up happening sometimes with the fan service is you piss off the wrong people, and then
yeah,
Disney, yeah, I was right. Disney is like, meh, let's give them what they want and change it, and then you have the other spectrum of the fans who are like, I don't want none of this,
yeah,
and then you have the
yeah.
situation with the movies.
It's like a tightrope situation, but I think they're doing a great job of walking the tightrope because as someone who does appreciate the fan service, but also hates it when that gets in the way of storytelling, I'm very very happy with what they're giving us so far
Yeah,
in this season.
I like, what I really like is how they're giving us little pieces of life for the other like side
Hmm.
characters, like in this
Yeah,
case the Tuscan Raiders. I was just
yeah,
like, because you don't really like see a lot of them. Like in the movies, Lucas gave you a version of the village, and then Anakin showed up and decimated it. Like, so
murdered
you were just
everyone,
like, he just like murdered everybody in a rage. So you're
even the
like,
women
okay,
and
well
the
that just
children.
happened. Yeah. Not my mom. Like, dude, I'm not even gonna get started on that. That dude's supposed to be so
Yeah,
sensitive
yeah,
to the force he couldn't tell that his mom was suffering for years. Like, um, but I like how they show like when they're doing like their like it's a sign language or the secret language or whatever.
yeah,
That
yeah.
made me feel like I was like when I used to love um uh Ari Salvatore's Forgotten Realms. He would always have the Dark Elves had their own secret hand signals and hand like
Mm,
it's basically you want to think it's like sign language, but they never say it's sign language. It's their own
right,
secret code, right? And I was like,
right.
that's cool. What I liked about that is it suggests that like the Mandalorians are so good at what they do, they know like all these other languages, which
Yeah.
which sets you up for that final shot where you that's fat. Like I went back and forth in my head because I was just like, could that be Rex? But then one of my friends was like, no man, Rex was already old when the Clone Wars ended, and this is like 20 years later, so Rex would have to be super old if that was Rex.
No, dude.
Are you sure?
No. It's.
It's got to
I
be
mean,
Fett.
I guess we're. Oh, I misunderstood what you said. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It is Boba Fett.
it is Boba Fett. But I'm
Yes,
saying is
yes.
like initially people like myself and some others thought it could be Captain Rex,
I
and I
got you.
was
I
just
got
like,
you.
my one friend was like telling me like the age, and I was just like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
he's in
Sorry,
like
I
Tuscan.
misunderstood when you said
Oh, I
Fett.
saw that on your
I
face. I was like,
misunderstood that.
mm-mm, this
Yeah.
dude does not understand what I'm saying. I was just gonna let you work it out yourself.
I
um,
got there, dude.
oh, I didn't even realize I grabbed
That's the
the
way to do
fat.
it.
Unintentional. This is totally unintentional.
Mine's unintentional too.
Oh, yours is damn. That's a good mug, man. That's old school.
Yeah. It's it's not
This
really
I
old
this I
school.
picked up at Celebration last March when
Ah,
conventions
this
were a
this
thing.
is a Disney thing. It's from Disney World.
I mean, I feel like I probably get this at Disney World. This is one of those things like you go like I go to Star Wars Celebration. I pick up this
Yeah,
mug that you can only find there and probably on eBay for exuberant cost. But then
yeah,
whatchamacallit, I have that secondary thought always like I got a kid at home. Maybe I should buy two of these because one of these is gonna bite the dust. But of
yeah,
course, they're expensive, so you only buy one and you try to be
yeah.
really careful about it. It's Fett, but Rex is in his 50s in Rebels. Oh, that's a good point. Illustrated Pixels. Who are you? I can't remember. I'm sorry. But yeah, you're right. I forgot he's in Rebels and he's about 50 in Rebels, but that's definitely Fett. Also, but like my point was that, like
Yeah.
you see
Oh
him
yeah.
with the Tusken Raider outfit, you see him with the weapons, so it kind of I feel a little bit like he got out of Sarlacc, and then he's been
Hmm.
living with the Raiders. He's got the scars and stuff
Or
on his
around
face.
them, dude. It was. What was your reaction? So when you see him, when you see that reveal when he turns around,
And the
what was
thing,
your reaction?
I was like, oh shit, Fett, because you see him like he's literally looking at his armor go by like this
Yeah,
motherfucker, like,
yeah, yeah.
um, and
Yeah,
he's
dude.
got like
I
all that gear, but whatchamacallit, I also had that reaction. I saw what's his name, Cobb. I was just because that's a character that you only read about, like or about if you read you either heard about him from a friend who's a Star Wars fanatic, or you read about him in Chuck Wendig's book, right? Like he doesn't exist in like the animated series or anything. He's a character that is built into the lore. He's the one that buys that armor, right? Like in this case, they he didn't he gets it from the Jawas basically, right? And I think that's pretty accurate to the book if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
Like that's how he gets it. So when he first appears, it was like
Oh, that's cool.
that's cool, man, because and I like Timothy Oliphant. I think he's a great actor.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's got that like they shouldn't give that dude any other roles but cowboys. Like he's got that like swagger. Like he's constantly like
Yeah.
what he reminds me of? He reminds me a lot of old Clint Eastwood. The way he walks into the room, he's got that like, he's like got one hip off to the side, like he's ready to draw his weapon, and he's
Yeah.
very like
He's,
smooth with the way he talks to you.
yeah. Yeah. He's got that kind of lanky.
Yeah, like where he's
That
like,
yeah.
when they're like the throwdown in the bar, we're like, oh, we're gonna do this right here. I
Yeah.
was like, you're gonna
Yeah.
die, dude. That dude's wearing fucking Beskar armor. Like
Yeah. That was super cool.
or not Beskar
And
armor. What's it called? What's the armor called? I forget now. Did I say
I
that right?
think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay, it
Yeah.
is Beskar. Okay.
Hey, make me doubt myself.
I mean,
Um,
that's how we stay on our toes. Um,
yeah. When he walked in, of course, my first thought was, "Oh my God!" I'd heard the rumors that Boba Fett was going to be in this. Is this him? Damn, he's skinny. And then when he took it
yeah,
off, I was like, okay, this is not Fett. So that was cool. Let's see here.
that was the So that's the thing that I also like. There was that rumor when they first started announcing season 2. They said they were going to introduce like Timothy Oliphant was cast, and people assumed it was for Fett, but then it was like people were like, no, he's playing Cobb, and then they cast the original dude who played Django. From the series, from the movies, as Fett, which, I think he's a cool actor. I don't have any problems with him, other than the fact that he played Django, but, you know,
Yeah.
and even Django
Yeah.
was cool until he got his head chopped off. So, what are you going to do
Yeah,
about
but
that?
that was yeah. So when he did that reveal, man, my reaction. I'm sitting there with my whole family, and I shit my pants, jumped up off the couch, and screamed, "It's him!"
So they're like, whoa. So
They're
they're
like,
looking at you like
"Okay,
like
Dad."
you're, yeah, relax, bro. Yeah, I had cousins who watched it who were just like, who?
Okay.
Because they can't. Because like, here's as a fan, you know who that is just by looking at the face. Because you're like,
Yeah.
he's the clone of his dad. That's who he's gonna be.
Yeah.
But most people don't who haven't kept, and also people who haven't kept up with the spoilers and stuff, right? Like,
Right.
kudos to
Right.
you if you can go all this whole time without seeing a single trailer for. Like, I was talking about this to some friends yesterday. I have friends who like won't watch trailers to movies because they'll be
Yeah.
like, I'll watch the movie, but they can. I think you're one of those guys, right? No,
No. No.
no, you watch the trailers like I
Well, you
do.
know what? It depends. It
Okay.
depends. There are some things where I don't want to know anything, but more often than not, yeah, give me the trailers. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm like, I want the trailers because that's who I am. Like, I want that. I want that gratification of seeing things. But yeah, I got friends who like didn't watch a single trailer for The Mandalorian season 2. So like when people are talking about was that Ahsoka in the trailer, or was that, you know, is Fett coming back and all this stuff,
Right.
they were like, they were like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, you know, like, so I'm just like, yeah. I'm trying to think if I saw, there were a couple Easter eggs in there which I thought were cool, like Cobb's speeder bike is basically from Anakin's pod racer.
It's a pod race, yeah.
I was just like, okay, that's a cool throwback.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I kept getting I don't know about you, but I kept getting a little nervous every time he walk away from the child. Like he would just leave him in the sack and walk away.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, man, you're just gonna leave him outside?
Yeah,
He's a kid.
Where I go, he goes. Right?
But then
where I go, he goes.
Yeah, except when I go into a bar, he can wait outside. But then, like, you know, like you see him like crawl in. So I guess he's kind of like a kid, where like he's kind of like not a kid. He's like independent. He can like get out and move about. And
Yeah.
maybe he's not as worried. Like it's almost like they're leading you up to be like, I don't have to worry about him. He can handle himself. You know.
Right. Because he handled that mud, whatever
He
that
handled
was.
that. Yeah. The what's that thing called? Mudhorn. And
Mudfucker. Oh yeah.
Mudhorn. You can't go.
Okay.
Yeah. Disney.
Oh, that's right.
But also he had remember where at the last episode of season 1 where the flames are coming towards him and he's just like holds him back, right? That's when you kind of get that first inclination that he's Jedi, probably, you know. He's force sensitive at least. I liked how they did that too, where the what's the character's name? The Master Forger or whatever. She's like, we used to go to war with these mystical beings or whatever called the Jedi, and you're like,
sorcerers, an order of sorcerers.
Order of sorcerer called the Jedi, yeah, and you're just like, that's cool, you know, like, I've heard. So I was talking to a friend about this, and he had me laughing because I heard rumors that they might put Luke in there somewhere, like an older. Obviously, this is happening 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Empire has just fallen. People are finding themselves free for a little bit.
Yeah.
Except for Cobb's Town, obviously.
Right.
What was it called? Mos Espa?
Yeah. No. There's Mos Eisley, Mos Espa, and Mos. What did she say it was? I've actually got it up here. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah. Bring it up. But like,
see.
You could see like his town was the one that's not. Oops. We might glitch out for a second because I think
Mos Pelgo.
Mos Pelgo. Okay.
Yeah, Mos Pelgo. That's it's so you got Mos Eisley. So when what's her name, Peli Motto, the Amy Sedaris character, when she's got the big globe up, R5. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that R5 came out and he still got the shit running down the back of where the motivator blew. Yeah. Oh man,
I was like, he survived. Like, those Jawas basically fixed him up and sold him to somebody else, you know, like,
exactly.
Kudos to them.
But anyway, she brings out R5, he throws the big globe up, and she says, here's Mos Eisley, Mos Espa, and way over here, she turns the whole planet over and says, there's Mos Pelgo.
Yeah, it's on the other side of the...
I got to be honest, when the John Leguizamo,
Hang on a second.
John Leguizamo character, okay.
I got these random wannabe famous, buy followers, primes, and views. Let's not have that happening. How do I
You can't pass that up.
Oh, I need to learn Twitch because how do I do this? You can keep talking, man. I'll figure it out.
All right. So the character in the beginning, Gor Koresh. So when Mando walks into town, into this, as far as I know, an unnamed, I don't know what planet it is or anything, but it looks like a wannabe Coruscant.
Oh yeah.
So
exactly.
He walks in there. There's all the creatures with the glowing red eyes and the shadows. You never see one of them. He goes and talks to Gor Koresh. They had their little thing. That damn Gamorrean death fight was awesome.
That was awesome.
Dude, that was so cool. But anyway, he chases him out into the alley, hangs him upside down, and this guy says, "You got to go to Tatooine." I was like, Tatooine again?
It's one of those things. it's gonna be one of those planets that they're just gonna constantly go to because if you can give it another name, put it on another desert planet, and then you're as a Star Wars fan, you're gonna be like, that's Tatooine.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so
That was the feels I was getting in. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So, but anyway, once he got there, I was like, okay, it's Tatooine, fine. Then the Pelimato character comes up, and she's, I enjoyed Amy Sedaris. I think that she's very funny.
I like her.
And
Yeah.
but the crate dragon is now. I haven't seen a crate dragon before because I don't delve way into the EU. I don't get into the video games and stuff. I'm all movies and shows.
Okay.
And so I've never seen a crate dragon before. So that for me was awesome. But there's a few things I didn't like. So number one, the damn thing swims through the dirt like it's water. Number two, when he went right down the middle of Main Street.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
didn't go into the buildings, nothing. He went right down the middle of Main Street. Seems to me like the whole town would have caved in, but whatever.
I
And
mean,
I
get it.
I know that I'm okay with a desert, an entire desert planet, halfway across the galaxy or wherever, a long time ago, far, far away. I can accept everything, but I can't accept that. Okay, fine.
You can't accept a town sitting in the middle of a desert, in the middle of nowhere, surviving, and then a dragon going down Main Street and it not sinking into the ground. I mean, come on.
And a little green lizard baby that can stop a fireball. Okay, yeah, I can buy that, but
the dragon's where you draw the line. You know, the first time you ever see that dragon, the first time you see that creature is in A New Hope, where 3PO and R2 land on Tatooine for the first time. It's in the background there, right? The bones.
Kind of.
I mean, it's not the actual creature; it's just the bones of the creature.
Bones, right.
And that's what you see.
Yeah, I mean, guess what I'm talking about is seeing one in action. And that's also the creature that Obi-Wan is imitating to run off the Tusken Raiders when Luke gets attacked. So, and of course, I'm explaining all this to my kids as the show's going on, and they're probably like, "Shut up, Dad." But,
yeah, nobody wants to hear your mouth while the show's going on. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And then there's one comment that I kind of didn't like, and it's still about the crate dragon. So Mando says, I'll just fly in, spot him in my ship, and blast him from the sky. He's like, oh no, he can sense the vibrations and he'll run away. That bugged me a little bit. That seemed like a cop-out kind of an answer. He'll sense the vibrations from the sky, yet at the toward the end of the episode, 50 people, 100 people can sneak up on him, and he can't feel those vibrations.
I mean, a ship creates a lot more vibration than people on foot. What annoyed me with the way they were treating that cave wall was like, you saw your friend nail a bantha down and not run away. Like, he couldn't get away. He got eaten, right? The first raider. And then you send 3 dudes out there to make noise and try to run away again. It's like, I'd be like, can I not volunteer for this? Like, can we not just fire an arrow that's on fire in there and wake him up or something? Like, why do I gotta go? Like, also, dude, run off to the sides. Like, clearly the thing comes straight at you. I did not expect the poison.
Somebody walk in there and tap him on the shoulder and wake him up.
I mean, that's a guaranteed death. But like, I didn't expect the poison, like the poison breath or whatever, like the venom.
Yeah, but what did it do? They never paid that off.
I'm assuming it melted them
everywhere.
Well, I think that's like his dragon breath. It's essentially like it's his like he's like a what is it in D&D? Black dragons, I think, spit poison like that. I think the concept is he's spitting poison at you. So I won't assume they melted, but since it's Disney, they're not going to show dudes just like melting,
Why not? Why not? They showed the dude in episode 1, first scene, get chopped in half by the door. I mean, this is.
They didn't really show him get chopped. You should go watch it again. They show it about to happen, and then they cut.
And they cut away. Okay.
Yeah, you got to assume that's what happened.
That's fine, but see, in my memory, I can see him getting chopped in half because they made enough of a suggestion, which, in my opinion, they did not do with the dragon breath. Because I don't know if do they melt, do they just die, or is it just gross? They don't give us
I
any
assumed
indication.
since it's like an acid, I assumed it was like acid breath coming out of a dragon.
That's
So
that's
I
that's what I
assume
assume too.
that's what I
My
assumed it
problem is I'm
was.
assuming.
Sure.
That's,
And
I don't like that I'm assuming that. It feels like they should have. I'm gonna try to find that moment where he first barfs on him and see if there's just something I forgot. So here he comes out of the cave. He's blasting them. You can't tell. You see him kind of going, but that's it.
yeah, you have to assume that that's what. I just figured out how to ban that person. That took me a minute. But like they were dropping random ads in the chat, which is weird. I gotta set up robots for this thing later. Better ones anyway, because clearly my Nightbot is not doing its job. Now that I said that, everyone's gonna message. I assumed it was an acid breath, but then because in my head I also was like, oh, whatchamacallit, he went into it and then he came out, right? And then I assumed his armor could withstand it, right? So it might not be.
Right.
So it might not be. It might just be poison, and he might be able to survive it, right? Because he did that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because
That could be.
it's like all over his cape and
I,
shit, and he's not exactly like I need to wash this shit down. He's like, I'll just put the baby back on the speeder bike, and what was he doing with that hunk of meat? Was that his spoils of the war?
Oh.
Was he gonna eat that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's out flying around in the emptiness of space. You gotta have something to eat on. I think.
I mean, I don't know what a Mandalorian eats.
Dragon jerky.
He's gonna make some jerky out of it. Yeah, that was my assumption too. And I was like, huh, that thing has a giant. So the pearl that they pull out, someone told me that that's in the lore that they do have giant pearls. That's like the victory prize for killing one of those things.
Well, good. I'm glad to know that because I didn't know what the hell it was.
It was a pearl. It's a pearl. Well, that's why they said, hey, if we help you kill this thing, we get to take the spoils of war. Like the raiders. Right. But yeah, like I want to go back to that opening scene real quick. I really loved how, like, that dude puts the gun to his neck, and he's just like, just leave the armor and I'll let you walk out. And he was like. And he was just like, tell me where to find the Mandalorian or the other Mandalorian, and you might walk out of here alive. Or you'll walk out of here alive. Like he was like, he was stone cold with his responses. Like, and then when he's hanging him upside down, he's like, I give you my word, I won't be the one to kill you. Or I won't be the one to take your life.
You will not die by my hand.
You will not die by my hand. And you're like, he's gonna leave you out there, dude.
I
thought they were gonna do.
When he said that's not part of the deal.
Yeah.
Because that's not part of the deal. He turns around, shoots out the street light, and then those little red-eyed creatures I forgot all about.
I forgot all about them.
Their little eyes pop open and they.
Yeah.
Like,
in my head, I thought,
that's awesome.
Is this going to be a weird classic scene where the townspeople beat on the boss? Like where they beat on the guy that gave him a hard time. And dude, did you notice that so like I don't know if it was just me because I saw Colossus, a one-eyed dude, and I was like. He kind of reminded me of the Colossus from the old, like the claymation monsters.
Oh, you're talking about Clash of the Titans.
Yes, like he reminded me of like the Cyclops and stuff from like Clash of the Titans or Jason and the Argonauts and stuff. And I was trying to be like, is that what they're using? Like that would be kind of cool. Like I feel like if we were to do a deep dive and just look up YouTube videos of people who are analyzing things a lot with a finer comb than you and I are, there's a bunch of Easter eggs in there that we haven't seen. I caught a couple things here and there, but I'm not such a fanatic that I could catch everything immediately.
One of those guys is in the old cantina scene, right? From
I think the dude that gets the vibroblade or whatever it's called in his chest is one of the dudes that was in the cantina scene. I don't remember if the boss gangster dude was in the cantina scene or not. But
well, not him specifically, but one of those. I thought that's where they pulled that design from.
Maybe.
But I want to. Okay, another thing I want to ask you about and just get your opinion on, dude. His mouth. how did they animate that? Was it animatronic? Was it CG? Or was it a
Oh,
combination? Because it didn't look all the way like either one.
yeah. I wanted to look that up because I feel like Filoni and Favreau really like practical effects. Um,
Hmm.
and
But it was
like I
the thing for me. It was the animation was too good for animatronics, not quite good enough to be CG,
I felt the
and
same
it
way
looked
because it had that weird
so
like
real.
TMNT style. Remember when the old school
Right.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first came out? The mouth was animated a
Yeah.
little weird, and if you look just right, you can see the two
Yeah.
eyes of the actor sticking out through the mouth. You know, like that was creepy the first time I figured that out. By the way, um, it felt a little bit like that. That's probably something we have to look up because I really like.
Yeah.
I was just like picking apart things like the armor looked cool, the little I knew those rockets were gonna come into play again. You know, I
Oh
thought it was
yeah.
cute how Baby Yoda's like, that shit's about to go down. I'm just gonna close this up real quick. You know, like, and again,
Yeah, that was awesome.
he just leaves he leaves the pod sitting there to like obviously chase the dude down, right? And bring him in and
Yeah.
hang him. And then all of a sudden the pod is next to him again. So in my head I feel like there's gonna be this cool like understanding that the that I guess everyone calls him Baby Yoda or the child can
The child. Yeah.
like again hold its own. So he's not so worried about walking away from it, which is kind of cool. So he doesn't constantly have to be saving him, like
Right. Right. But
like he
now, as far
knows.
as that little pod goes, it doesn't it have some kind of little? Isn't it tethered wirelessly or something like a little drone
It's got a little
that
remote or
just sort of
something, so
follows
it
him
follows him
around?
around. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I assume that's why he like
Yeah.
followed him outside. Whatchamacallit, of
Yeah.
that, fighting thing. I had a thought, but I can't remember what it was now. It was about we were talking about the CG stuff. Oh, I remember.
Hmm.
So earlier in the week, Andrew Sides, who's friends with us in our Discord server,
Hmm.
had sent me a video of um, the Razor Crest, his ship, and
Hmm.
how they designed
Yeah.
it. And I had seen parts of this when I had been to Star Wars Celebration last year. Um, and they finally released this video, and I think you could see it on Disney if you watch the making of Mandalorian season 1. But it's cool because
Hmm.
they were gonna make the Razor Crest CG initially, but then
Hmm.
I forgot the guy's name, but he decided to build a model of it, and then that
Wow.
evolved into them rigging it old school, like they did with the
Hmm.
Millennium Falcon back in the day, right? Like,
Yeah.
but with
Yeah.
this one, it's like a 10-minute video on YouTube. If you just look up Razor Crest Mandalorian design, it's worth your 10 minutes because you get to see the initial sketches by what's his name? I met him at Celebrations. I can't remember his name. He's been around forever. He's one of the lead designers on Star Wars stuff. Whatever, I forget his name, but I'll post about it later. But he designed the ship
Hmm.
and some rudimentary sketches. But then this metal worker dude decided to build out a 3D model of it, and then the plates, and put together the Razor Crest. And then they started to like refine it over and over to the point where they were like, it became such a thing. They built a rig and they were like, we're gonna film it this way. It's gonna go by like this. The opening shot, in season 1, we see it like kind of go like right past you like that. It's just a straight
Hmm.
line with a like a Canon SLR. It's not even like a fucking video camera. It's just like a camera SLR going like past it, like as this thing moves on a track. It's just an old school
Wow.
technique, with the blue screen, right? But it
Yeah.
turned into such a thing. They were like, they needed a trailer. They needed to show something at Celebration. So they got it done in like a couple weeks, if I remember correctly. I think they did like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they got like all this stuff done to
Wow.
the point where a guy started adding like lighting to the inside to make it glow. Some dude added a
Yeah.
little Mando figurine. The old school ones that come with the models were like sitting all stiff like this, but
Yeah.
they go by
Yeah.
so fast you can't
Yeah.
tell, right? So I'll post that video up on socials later.
Okay.
It's cool because like as someone who's been like I've been building a lot of Gundams lately, and I'm patiently waiting for Bandai to put out their Razor Crest model, which we will talk
Hmm.
about on another call, Bandai call, because we want to do one on Gundams and stuff. But um, like just to see. So that's why I feel like I'm taking this back to what you said about the Cyclops' mask. Like I feel like they like practical effects, and they have a team of
Yeah.
people who are like so good at what they do. You can literally just be like, can you build me a mask that's Cyclops that looks like a wonky gangster? You know, they're like, got you,
Yeah.
boy. You know, like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There was a couple things I picked out that I was like, what's going on there? Like, you know, Fett's armor has LEDs on his left breast, but if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but throughout the Star Wars universe, when he's in the movies, I don't remember that thing being. I think it was on for Empire,
I don't
maybe
either.
not on in Return, because it was definitely on for obviously this, and he also had the hose running to his arm, you know, for the flamethrower. He never uses it.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. I mean, and
Yeah.
then he's, you know,
You went to all that trouble.
I also like the fact that you know, Han hit Fett and he flew into the Sarlacc, and then Mando hits him. You know, what's his name? Din Djarin? How do you say his name?
Yeah. Din
Djarin.
Djarin.
Where he's like, get out of
Yeah,
here, and
I
he
think.
hits him, and he flies off too again. I'm like, that is a faulty
Yeah.
ass jetpack, man. Someone's got to fix that shit, you know. But I like how he says,
There's got one person building it in a cave.
I like how he goes, you should let him know I didn't break that, you know, or something at the end. He's like, I'm not responsible for the damage to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that thing's a piece of crap. But I did like how they showed, like, you know, the helmet coming down to aim the rocket before you fire it off, because you never get to
that
see
was
that
awesome.
stuff in action, right? You like, there's this antenna there that does what? Nothing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought that was as soon as it went down, I was like, I know what's about to happen, even though I've never seen this before.
Yeah, those dudes are like taking off. And you're like, he's gonna fire that rocket. He's like, that's the only reason he's so casual about his take, you know. I do.
But then he reloads the rocket. Where the hell did he get another one?
That's what I thought. I was like, yo, you just fired off your only rocket, man. Well, here's the thing. If you read, I believe it's in Tales from Jabba's Palace, the short stories, and that's the book that has. Do I have that up here? No, maybe. That's the book where you read about how how Boba Fett escapes from the Sarlacc. So the original lore in before Disney made a lot of stuff non-canon, because Disney sucks monkey butt. Other than to give us the Mandalorian, I love you guys. The original lore for Tales from Jabba's Palace. Oh yeah, there you go. Way to represent, man. Does that say 28? Is that hat 28 years old? Is that like their 20th anniversary?
No, that would be like. Hang on a second. Let me see here. It's 1928 is when Walt opened his first animation studio.
That's cool, man.
Before he moved out to California.
I want to get back to that in a second here. The Tales from Jabba's Palace is where you read. So if you read that, if you get a chance to read that, it's a short story. It's literally 15 or 20 pages long. It's not long at all. But it basically talks about. It takes place with that short story with Fett takes place with him already in the Sarlacc, and the Sarlacc tells him that it's been around for hundreds of years, like how it got bigger and bigger by eating things that would fall into it, and how it digests slowly. You know all that information, but it's like a psychic bond, and Fett is talking to it, and what Fett ends up doing is firing off his rocket and burning the inside and crawling out while it's on fire. So the rocket is already gone when the armor is found. Okay, but the Sarlacc itself has its own like acidic digestive system. So that's all over his armor. So when he crawls out, the armor itself is starting to get corroded. So that's why he leaves the armor. He like takes it all off and leaves it. And then if I remember correctly, Dengar, another bounty hunter, finds him and doesn't kill him out of respect. Let's go with out of respect, and helps him get better. And you know, and in the books he, you know, takes off with Dengar and heals and stuff. But I like this different angle of nobody came for me because I was the most ruthless bounty hunter in the galaxy. I don't have BFFs that are gonna show up and be like, I got you, boo. You know, like like
Right.
if he's gonna show up and cap him if anything. But so I like the spin
Yeah.
of he got out of the Sarlacc, he's surviving on this desert planet because that's who he is, you know, um,
Yeah.
and for some reason he hasn't had the need to do. I mean, it's 5 years after return, so he's got time to heal. So he maybe has a need or a mission,
Yeah.
he just hasn't enacted upon it. Um, um,
And
but
yeah, well, we can also extrapolate. Go back to the where the missiles come from. We can extrapolate from that Boba was there. That means Slave One was parked somewhere,
yes,
and I would imagine the Jawas went and looted that thing, and he probably bought a bunch of those rockets from the Jawas. I would assume.
I mean they had like little whatever they buried looked like little missiles or little rockets too, right? So it's possible that
Mm,
yeah, it's possible that the Jawas themselves were like
manufacturing them, or
manufacturing them or they had parts or something. Yeah, and like you said, Slave One was
mm,
if Slave One was parked somewhere, those Javas picked it apart already. You know,
yeah,
it would be kind of cool to be um, like I had a thought about that one day when I was talking to another friend about the Slave One. Just he said the same thing you did. It's like that thing's got to be parked over by Jabba's palace somewhere. And I
yeah,
was like, what if it'd be kind of cool if it had like a cloaking device, like fucking
mm,
Klingons or some shit that we don't know about, and it's just sitting there
yeah,
waiting for him. But then I thought, if it was sitting there, he would have gotten in it and
yeah.
taken off already, right? So
Right,
that's when I went
right.
back to the Jawas picked it apart already. Because again, unless he's like, I don't need to leave this planet yet. I got things I need to do. You know,
Yeah,
like get back my
right.
armor. Maybe he wants his armor back. If you give Fett his armor back,
Yeah,
you got to make it look a little cooler. I'm sorry. Like my Mythos Fett looks badass, the statue, and if they can
mm,
make him look as good, I'd be just fine with it. You know, it is kind of nice too. I thought to see that armor because the Mandalorian's armor is cool and all, but I think it's too shiny. That's just my opinion.
yeah.
I kind of wanted to have
I,
more
I,
of that.
I kind of,
I liked his old armor because it had that like. I like the armor he had on before he upgraded because it had that like rugged, I've been around and seen
mm,
things look to it, which it sounds almost like the Beskar armor never has. But then Fett's armor is also Beskar, you know,
right.
or at least it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
I
and I would imagine that over time they personalize and stuff like that, and Mando just
yeah,
hasn't bothered doing that yet because he's been on this mission, and it probably doesn't
I mean
get corroded too easily because of the nature of the metal.
somebody might know though. I mean, I'm wondering if Fett's armor isn't Beskar. Maybe it's just some other form of Mandalorian armor because there's so
Mm,
many of them, right?
yeah,
And you know he's got those iconic colors.
and yeah, yeah, exactly. That's how you know that that's nobody but Boba Fett's armor.
Dude, I waited to get I wanted to get I've got a Mandalorian, on my shoulder here, and I was waiting for them to
Yeah.
reveal the new Mandalorian's sigil because I was like I'll get it on this arm here because I like the show that much. But then when they showed it to me, I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not 100% sold on that. Like like this is a mythical like what is it called mythosaur, right? It's like a crazy like beast. The other one's a mudhorn. I'm just like I don't know if
Mm.
mudhorns is cool. Like I mean maybe by the end of the season it'll work in. I might just get a Jedi tattoo. I think I haven't decided yet. But
Yeah.
how did I get on that subject? I forget. But I would like to
We were
see
talking about
what I'd like to see a little bit more is it would be kind of cool I think if they showed you a little bit more on like how he and I don't know if they ever will because it's a show and you just got to assume things, but it'd be kind of cool to see how he like maintains his equipment, like his armor. And because there was that
hmm
in season 1 there was when he lands on the planet with the raiders that had the at like you see him like working on his ship,
hmm
like he's maintaining it. I would like to see a little bit more of
Yeah.
like how he's maintaining his armor and stuff because he came out of that dragon and he was covered in that vomit. I don't know what it is
That
yet. So
goo. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to research those dragons. I guarantee it's poison. And I guarantee that's why we didn't
Yeah.
see the people melt. They probably just kind of were like poisoned. Um,
Yeah.
my money's on we didn't see them melt because it's Disney. Um, just like you saw people go into its mouth but not really get chomped. Everybody went
Yeah.
in but didn't get chomped. Because, you
I
know,
guess
you
they
would
don't
damn
take
it.
the kid
Can
gloves
you
all the way
imagine
off.
being a kid and seeing that? You'd be like, no. Um, but I'm trying to think if there's. I'm trying to think there was another Easter egg I saw in there somewhere, but I'm trying to remember what it was.
There was a lot right up front. It was heavily loaded with Easter eggs up front.
I mean, they get. I like the fact that the show opened up straight out with him just tearing into those dudes, right?
Yeah, that was
You know,
awesome.
like he literally was like takes out 5 dudes with a mini whistle. What are they called?
I can't remember what he called them, but yeah,
They're called whistling somethings. Like I don't remember, whistling canaries or something. They had a specific name.
yeah.
And then you could see how strong his armor is because those dudes fighting him definitely got 2 licks in on him, and it hit the armor each
I'm
time.
glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that because I wondered about that last season where the armor was last season was all about defense and protection, and right up front this season he's actually using the armor offensively,
Yep.
which I thought was super cool. That dude runs up on him, he's like bonk, and
Yeah, he hits him with his
out he
head,
goes.
and then the other guy like slashes on his
Yeah,
chest. I'm like, good luck, buddy. You know, that kind
yeah,
of reminded me of and it's probably the only good scene in the whole movie in Batman versus Superman where Batman's fighting those dudes in the warehouse. There's a scene where there's like four guys fighting him and he's defending them all off, but he doesn't there's a part where a dude takes a slash at the back of his head and it
uh-huh,
scrapes and it gives you a feeling that he's got armor plating on the back of his head. And then there's a part where
yeah,
he's punching a dude in the face and a dude comes up right behind him and puts 2 bullets in the back of his head that do nothing, which you're like, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's kind of like because it's also like that's the thing with the Mandalorians, right? They trust their armor enough where they're like, I'm focused on this thing. I'm gonna get this guy. That guy's
yeah,
getting
right,
away,
yeah,
and he's like, go ahead, man, try to stab me. I'm sure he doesn't want to take a laser blast to the armor, but a weapon like a blade or a whatever. And that's the other thing, they don't show him like pick up his weapons when he's done using them. So I'm assuming he picked all that crap up. Like he threw the dagger into that guy, and I'm like, I'm assuming he went back for that. Like no one's gonna take the blade. I want more of that. I
like
want
right
more.
now,
Like it was
yeah,
cool to see them both jetpacking around and landing and fighting the dragon, and then jetpacking back down because you don't get to see a lot of the
yeah,
the first time you see him on the jetpack, he's all like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing," and it's like, "Yeah, you don't. Why are
yeah.
you flying?" You know, like
Yeah, I was wondering why Cowboy Cobb, whatever his name was, why he was so in tune with his rising Phoenix or whatever
my
they call
assumption
that thing.
with him is he knew what it does, and so he could fly around with it.
I,
I don't
I guess
know.
he's had it long enough. He's
Yeah.
gotten to practice with it. There is another ice cream maker in this one. It's
Oh
when
yeah.
Cobb gets picked up by the Jawas.
Yep.
It's full of these crystals. I'm looking for Easter eggs in
Yeah, the
in
ice cream.
the
That thing
what do they
got
call
you.
it?
Do you remember how that got famous? That ice cream maker. There's a
Oh
scene
yeah,
in Empire
I
Strikes Back.
can't remember the dude's. I can't remember his name.
I think they
But
just
yeah,
call him the
he's an
ice cream
action
man.
figure and everything.
I think they just call him the ice cream guy or ice cream man. He's
No, no,
literally just
no.
running by.
He has a name.
Oh, he's got a
definitely has
character name.
Uh, yeah,
Excuse me.
he's the ice cream guy from Empire.
Like I just remember that scene.
Will
It's like the
Rowe.
only scene he runs by, and this is like comes back to
Yeah,
the fanatical level of Star Wars
yeah,
peeps. Like you look literally, you're
yeah,
like, what is that guy carrying?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
you're just like, it's an ice cream maker.
His name is Wilro Hood.
Wilbur Hood. That's the other thing
Wilro Hood.
that I got to give credit to George Lucas and his team when they made the original Star Wars. I feel like almost every character that shows up on film had a funky name or some name that they were like, we need to give this character a name. Wilbur Hood. Sorry, I called you the ice cream man.
Mhm.
Like you obviously have a name.
Well,
Um,
Now,
and that helped him
what
like
I
build, because he was
understand,
thinking like, I'm gonna build this lore, I'm gonna build these characters out, you know, maybe.
I from what I understand, I don't think that all the credit for that goes to George Lucas.
Oh
I
sure,
think
no,
some of the credit actually goes to Hasbro.
yeah, because Hasbro was like, we need to make toys. It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
exactly. And they're
It's
like,
brilliant
who's the
marketing.
ice cream guy?
Well, that's kind of
Yeah.
like what I was trying to. When you show me the Disney stuff, and you says, you know, when 1928 when he made that, like Disney was you know, he made cartoons and then this theme park at a time where, like, if somebody were to try to make a competing theme park right now, it just wouldn't. There's just zero competition there. It wouldn't happen, right?
Right.
But he had this
Yeah.
audacious
Universal's
idea.
about as close as it gets.
Yeah, Universal's about as close as it gets, and probably doesn't make as much money as Disney. You can't
Right.
compete with that, and he did it at a time where it was brilliant. It was a brilliant idea. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's a rich white guy. I'm gonna build a theme park. You know, like, and everyone's gonna come to it. If you're white, I'll say it. I don't care. But but then like, you know, I'm not gonna make this about race. I'm sorry. My point was with Lucas. He made these movies, but in his head, he was like, they're good. I did what I wanted to do. I have this vision. I brought it to life. I'm happy. But then he got that secondary idea where he's like, wait a minute. There's this market for toys and lunchboxes and, you know, like they made some goofy ass fucking vehicles if you had the old toys, you know? And it was just all like, it's literally, you're right. It's all Hasbro and stuff who are like, I got this idea with this thing. And you're like, make it. They made so many toys. They had to figure out how to work it into the lore, you know? Like you saw it in the last episode or the second to last episode of Mandalorian season 1, the thing that pulls up holding all the stormtroopers. That you know, and they all step out of it. That's an old toy that was made. Yeah. And you're like, why would they ever travel like this? You know, like, you know what that toy reminds me of is the He-Man toy with the dinosaur. It's the stupidest toy, right?
Everybody just hops into a rib and it just
and it just carries them around. I'm like, that was one level under the one with the head. Remember, the head would move forward, and then the body would rotate out, and then the head would move forward, and then the body would rotate out. And I was like, Man-at-Arms had to have been high as a fucking kite that day. Because he's like, you know, like, I got this brilliant idea to make a walking dinosaur. And you're like, cool, that sounds great. And then you see it, and you're like, no. You're like, why does the body rotate, man? And that's just like, that's the brilliant, I'm going to say brilliance of Hasbro, or Mattel made He-Man, I believe. Just toy designers who are having a good fucking time. And that's what I felt with the Star Wars toys. You know, like Lucas had this idea, marketed it. And then I think the second brilliant thing he did was he had everybody involved in that project sign royalties over to him, which makes him a devious bastard. But at the same time, it's brilliant, you know. I mean, it's like, because he didn't believe in his own product.
I don't think he's. I don't know. I don't think he's devious. I think he was visionary.
He is a smart.
When they were like, because you think about toys and action figures up to that point, they were like, you want the toy rights? Okay, you can have those. They were meaningless to him because there was no such thing as the action figure, really, except for those big Mego dolls, you know.
Yep.
And then they come out with these teeny tiny little Star Wars toys, and they are, you know, phenomenal hit, as everybody knows. The rest is history.
Yep. I mean, I had a bunch of those. Yeah, he did a thing where, and then people were like, maybe we shouldn't give away royalties again. Can you imagine being Hasbro and you're like,
it only worked once.
Can you imagine being Hasbro and seeing all your money just go away and you're like, we need money, guys. We're going to go out of business here. You know, like, but I mean, he definitely brought forth things like people asking for royalties on things. Companies started mass marketing. Like, if it doesn't matter what cartoon or movie or whatever you made, you were constantly like, I'm gonna make a thing out of this. You know, I'm gonna market this and make a thing out of it. So, I mean,
I'm not just making a movie. I'm making a movie, and I'm making bed sheets, and I'm making action figures and house flippers and
ice cream makers. Like, they had everything, man. They made everything out of it. So,
lunchboxes.
I mean, I'm trying to remember. I had lunchboxes. And you know what they've been doing now? Excuse me. To bring us back to the Mando, they started making the 3.5 figures of Mandalorian to put out on the market. Now they're a little more. They're not like the stiff armed ones that we used to have. Remember?
Yeah, you're right.
They're a
Yeah.
little more. They got like joints and stuff, but the idea is
Right.
there. It's like they're not like you said the Migos or whatever the big ones. And
Yeah. They're to scale with the originals, and I love that. I think
yeah.
that's the perfect idea.
But like obviously now the market's open to different companies making their products, which is brilliant. And that's not just Hasbro. Like I got a bunch of the Star Wars Series Black, which we could talk about in an episode about toys. But they're for like $20. They're so good. There are 2 Mandos, by the way. There's the original and the one with the Beskar armor. I would highly suggest you buy those if you're into Star Wars. But we're about 10 minutes from an hour, so I'm trying to remember if there's anything else we want to talk about with Mandalorian. Like, if you haven't seen Mandalorian season 1, obviously go watch that first, because I think it's David Filoni and Jon Favreau have done a brilliant job of bringing this universe. Like, and you and I have talked about this before. I think if Disney keeps making shows versus movies, it's the safe play. Like, because the movies are just it's too much to do a movie and please everybody. I mean, there's rumors they're gonna reboot the last 3 movies. And
well, whatever. That's.
I mean, you're gonna retcon.
Get too far into that, but I'm
not gonna get into that.
I'm very opinionated about that.
Yeah, that's another show, is what that is.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just tell you what I think and why that hurts my bottom.
Well, I mean, the what's her name? Is it Deborah Chow? I think is the director. She did 2 episodes of Mandalorian season 1, and they were. I think it was the 2nd episode and the 7th episode, and they were brilliant. And she's the one who's in charge of doing all 12 episodes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that will be on Disney Plus.
Okay.
And last week they were talking about Ewan McGregor was posting about how he's already on set, and they had his old Kenobi robes and everything, and I was just like, awesome. I like what I'm reading. I like this. I like where this is going. I'm looking forward to his lightsaber pose. The thing he does. I'm just like, he does that in the anime. I mean, obviously, animated series they do it on purpose, but he does that. That's his like signature move. And it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
So and again, if they follow this formula of episodes and good directors and good writing, I feel like they're onto something. There's also rumors of an Ahsoka series, which would be awesome. Not a lot of people are happy with Rosario Dawson being on it.
Why?
People have opinions.
She's not a kid. I mean, she's gonna grow up.
I mean, I had a friend who was saying that he didn't like how apparently, I can't remember the story, her mom and her own apartments in New York or something, and with the pandemic and stuff, they were still trying to get people to pay her. It's all rumors and hearsay to like, I didn't do the deep dive on it, but she did something and people were mad about that. But I'm just like, okay, I don't know the story behind it, and I'm not going to get into it, but as an actress, I think she's a good choice. I got no beef with her in this, being a Ahsoka Tano, but if she's a bad person, I don't know. But some people say she is. Some people love it, and online it seems like people wanted a younger version of Ahsoka. I'm like, you're assuming they haven't cast a younger actress to do like whatchamacallit, some form of flashback episode. And she's the older version.
The Padawan Ahsoka.
I mean, just look at I'm like if you take a minute to look at Clone Wars is a younger version of her, and Rebels is an older version of her. So give it a fucking minute. Like you're ramping up before you've even had a chance to see anything. People were mad when the Mandalorian season 2 trailer came out and they showed the scene with that one like Jedi watching him, and they were like, that's Ahsoka, and a bunch of people were like, it's not, and it's not. Because she didn't have the what do you call them, the Twi'lek, they're not horns, you know what I'm talking about, the extensions. And she didn't have the tattoos that she had the on her face. Tentacles.
Right.
Yeah, tentacles might be a good
Right.
word for it. But I knew who that I knew who that character was, and I forget now. But people were like, "Oh, it's Ahsoka," and people lost their fucking minds. And on the other spectrum, people were like, "Calm down." It's like, look, man, they're giving you a teaser. Like
Yeah.
they're literally giving you an inch, and you're taking 3. You're running away with it too much. Like, slow down.
Yeah. 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 I do wish that more people would remember that these are just stories. It's not gonna really affect your life. It's
No.
just
Like, enjoy the fact
let
that you're
story
getting them.
unfold. There you go. Because I mean, you and I know it was from 1983 to until when did 1999?
Force Awakens.
Is that how long we had to wait for? No, I'm talking about we got 0 Star Wars between 1983 and 19. It was 99, right? Well, except for the re-releases. Sorry.
Let's not talk about those. Only thing I have to say about the special editions is Lucas had the time to add some extra bullshit to all his movies, but he could not fix the scene with Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader where Obi-Wan's lightsaber is a plastic rod for like 3 fucking seconds. Yeah, and he's like, pew, pew. And I'm like, why? Why couldn't you fix that? It would have been that quick.
I walked into the theater wanting that exactly, and that's the one thing they didn't fix.
Little things, right? All the errors that were in the movie.
Lightsaber stick.
Yeah. I mean, Boba Fett's helmet film being reversed. Flip it. Come on, man. Flip it. Yeah. Just fix it. Like, but what are you talking about in 99? What came out in...
moving over Java.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's
Dude,
pointless.
that it haunts me. I have nightmares about that scene. But
are you trying to figure out when Clone Wars? When you trying to figure out when the first movie came out?
No. What I was trying to say was, I was piggybacking on your statement. Be happy that we're getting something, because we grew up with we had the first 3 movies, and then after Jedi, 1983, we got nothing until the Phantom Menace.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So there was this huge drought of Star Wars, and now, I mean, we're on the other hand now, we're kind of getting a glut of Star Wars now, but I'm
exactly.
about it, personally.
No, like when okay, so real quick,
not all the stories are great, but I've got Star Wars eye candy to look at.
Like the original, the episode 1, 2, and 3, I was like, these aren't the best movies, but for the time, I was like, I'm finally getting Star Wars, and then we got nothing for another X amount of years.
Yeah.
Because, people were so mad about those. Lucas was like, good, man, I'm done. I'm out. And, there's all these rumors of 7, 8, and 9 coming out. And then you got the trailer for The Force Awakens. Dude, I still remember when I saw the trailer for The Force Awakens and you see the Millennium Falcon just shooting up. I had, like, tears in my eyes, right? I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, dude.
It's finally happening. And my wife was like, are you crying? And I'm like, yeah, I am crying.
It's a generational thing, though.
Yeah,
because we are of an age where that was like an integral part of our lives. Yep. And then we got nothing. Then we got the prequels, and then we finally got the sequels, which I know not everybody loves them. I know they're not the greatest movies in the world. I
still enjoy them.
I also remember that the original movies aren't the greatest movies in the world, but I love them anyway.
Right.
I
mean, that's when so when I saw the last. And we're not going to get into it, but when I saw the last movie that came out, episode 9, I already knew it was going to be a clusterfuck, right? Because it went through 2 different directors, and then you could already you already heard all these stories of the actors not liking being on set and all this tension, but they got it done. And when I saw that movie, I literally was like, I know I'm not going to 100% enjoy what I'm about to see plot-wise. But I'm going to enjoy the fact that it's a Star Wars movie. I get to see it on the big screen,
Exactly.
And was I a fan of Palpatine coming back? No. Because as a kid, I saw his ass get chucked into a reactor core, and I was like, bye, But I've read enough of the books to know that he's got like 100 clones of himself. So there's a chance he can come back, right? Sure. I've read enough of the books to be like watching Mandalorian and thinking, we could call him Baby Yoda because he probably is a clone of Yoda. Like It's highly possible. It would be a cop out if they did that, though. So I'm hoping he's just part of the
Yeah.
species, right? But also,
Yeah.
when did Yoda have sex? Like, because Jedis don't have sex, apparently.
So that and it was funny. So I wonder if we're back at the beginning of the show when Peli Motto, the Amy Sedaris character, she has a quote. She says, "If this thing ever divides or buds, I will gladly pay for the offspring." Do you think they're suggesting something? Do you think the writers are throwing out there that maybe these are not?
Well, he's trying to get to
reproduce the way we do.
He's trying to get like they could be like the dinosaurs
like
in Jurassic Park
or something.
Maybe. You heard what I just said?
Talking about, I missed the DNA.
Yeah, exactly. I fill the gaps right here.
Wrong.
Yes, exactly. So they're like hermaphrodites. See, the thing is, they showed a female version of his species. So, like, I got into it with another friend. I was like, it's species unknown. Like, the Star Wars lore says species unknown. But he was like, no, in the books they say it's called this. I'm like, they assume it's called something. But the official lore behind that creature is species unknown. And I'm like, don't front, man. Like, just relax. Like, I get it. You like Star Wars, you're a fan of it. Relax, bro. It's cool. But the season seems like they're trying to find his species. So there's a good chance that, I mean, maybe we'll get, you know what? It would be mind-boggling if Favreau and them were like, here's what it's called. And here's where they live. But I feel like they won't do that because you'll lose the little bit of that mystery behind that species. Lucas was always very specific about not giving that species a race and keeping it unknown because Yoda was that powerful,
Yeah.
And that species is supposed to be very attuned to the Force. And you might be right. It might be plants. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like there's some kind of if they're so connected to you. So I'm guessing that the Force is being a natural thing. They're very, very close to nature. Yoga.
We're done.
I was about to say Dagobah, and I crammed the
You were one step away from yogurt.
May the sports be with you. But
yeah.
But we obviously we find Yoda on Dagobah. And,
I got you.
And so maybe there is some kind of Earth connection, and maybe the thing does bud.
It would be cool if he had to go to the Dagobah system, because that's a very specific planet. If you read some of the lore, I remember like part of it is covered in like dark side energy, right? And that's why I think he went there. There's a specific reason he went to that planet, because it kept him in tune to things somehow. Like that I think the planet was strong with the Force, or I've read up on this before, but I can't remember now. There's this it wasn't just like a random planet. Like he could have just gone like Endor and been like, see you guys later. Or obviously not Endor, but like any planet, right? But he picked Dagobah for a very specific reason, and it had something to do with being attuned to Force energies. And
right.
Okay, well, on that note, we're an hour over, and I have a feeling that this thing's not gonna clip out on me if I don't stop it. So let's call it a day. I appreciate you getting on the show with me again. I will.
Yeah, man.
And for anyone watching, I'm gonna try my best to post up a schedule soon. I'm gonna try to do this weekly. I might aim for Friday nights, because Friday nights seems to be like the juicy spot for everyone. Saturdays seem to be really hard to rally people. So, but hey, maybe we can do 2 episodes a week. Who knows? But maybe we can do another one on Mandalorian episode 2 once we see that, because I'm sure we're gonna be raving. You and I think, had the same level of energy last night after seeing it, and I was just like, there's nobody around. I was like, I need to talk to somebody about this, and you were like, Mandalorian. I'm like, here we go. Like,
that's all I said. Mandalorian.
Yeah. I was like, oh, somebody, thank God.
Anybody?
Well, anyone who's like, I don't have time to watch it, it's like, man, find an hour in your day to watch it. It's worth it. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's worth it.
So worth it.
If you're not a Star Wars fan, I still think it's a great show. Yeah. if you
Yeah,
haven't seen
this is the
season
best Star
one,
Wars we've gotten since
yeah.
Empire.
Well,
I'm
if you
just gonna
haven't
say
seen
it.
season one and it's because you're not a Star Wars fan, and you're like, I don't know if I'll like this. If you like good writing, if you liked old westerns,
Yeah.
like it's a great series, and you don't have to be a fan of Star Wars to enjoy it because it's not like Jedi's running around with lightsabers and stuff. There's a cool like aspect to it, right? You don't. It's they're selling you on it without the Jedi angle. The it's
And
hinted at.
superb storytelling and character building. These are characters that you get to know and you get to love, and you kind of get weepy when one or two
Yep.
of them. I'm not going to say anything, but
Yeah, you're like,
um,
no. I mean, and I think the people that
yeah,
don't enjoy the
God,
pace,
man,
anyone who doesn't enjoy the pacing, I think is. And I don't want to badmouth those people, but I feel like it's like some people are just used to faster storytelling and faster pacing. Like, you know, you want the
yeah, but
you don't like that
this
pace.
is
Like I
supposed to
grew
be
up watching.
episodic. It's
Well, I grew up watching a lot of like spaghetti westerns and stuff, so I know like that
mhm.
slow. Let's give it to them a little bit at a time so they can keep up and process what they're seeing.
Yeah, dude. From episode one of season one, the first thing I said was, "This looks like Sergio Leone
Same.
shot it."
Yep, same.
You
It had
know,
the
it is.
music and the camera, the compositions. Everything was. You could tell that they were influenced by it, and they never
Mhm.
deny it when somebody brings it up. And I'm like, yep, I'm fine with this. But then I have people who are like,
Yeah,
I got friends who are like, I don't like westerns. I'm like, cool.
yeah.
I'm not gonna
What?
force you to watch it if you don't want to. That's fine.
Yeah, if you're not going to watch it, fine. You'll probably stumble on it later and think, "Gosh, why didn't I watch this the first time around so I could have been part of the conversation?" But I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, it's just good storytelling.
It's good
That's what it really
storytelling, yeah.
boils down.
So
And also, I'd like to add one more note. If
yeah,
if anyone who has after you watch season one, if you haven't already, also if you haven't watched Star Wars Gallery, which is the making of the Mandalorian,
that's the thing I
Disney
was talking
Plus.
about on Disney Plus. Yeah, it's so
Oh
good.
my God!
Just to listen, we can do a whole show on that, but just to listen to David
Yeah.
Filoni talk, and I think I mentioned this before, Lucas used to have a guy called the Oracle, and the Oracle's job, he's a real person, okay? He's not a weird ethereal being, but his job was to read all the books that were being written about Star Wars and then pick them apart and say, this doesn't line
Hmm.
up with this continuity. This doesn't work for this character. David Filoni reminds me of this person because if you hear him talk about
Yeah.
there's I don't know if it's I don't remember if it was in there or in a separate series, but he talks about episode 1, 2, and 3. Like if you're a person that
Hmm.
hated episode 1, 2, and 3, just listening to him talk about it, yeah, you and me are in the same boat. We were okay with it, but
Yeah.
not excited about it. And
Yeah.
listening to Filoni talk
Yeah.
about episode 1, 2, and 3 at a level that's deeper than what we remember, you're like,
Yeah.
I found a new way to enjoy those three movies because
Exactly. That is exactly right.
he found and that was worth watching it aside from the Mandalorian talk because I was just like, this dude saw these things on a whole different level. Also, he created Ahsoka
Yeah.
Tano, so let's give him some props. Like
Right.
he
Yeah.
created one of the
Exactly.
coolest
He has
Jedi's that I
been
know.
he has been so valuable to the franchise,
Just
and
use him,
here in the
man. Just use him
Mandalorian,
on everything.
he's taking old Star Wars and the prequels,
Yep.
and he marries them in such a way that's just like when the battle droids come into town in the flashback scene,
Yep.
and then we got the little pit droids that
Just the
Amy
way
Sedaris
he
does.
I mean, the guy. If we could talk, we should do a show on Clone Wars because the Clone Wars finale, I was just like he literally brought that together for us. Like because in the movies,
Yeah.
all you see is Anakin go bad, like, and you're like that fast, man, really? But
Yeah.
if you watch the Clone Wars, you're like, that dude was going rogue, and nobody. He's that friend that needs help, and you didn't lean in to help him. You were just like,
Yeah. Right.
Alan's okay. He'll be fine. By the way, I'm letting
Yeah.
you guys know I'm gonna go Sith soon. So, but on that note, we're way over time now, so I'm gonna call it a day. We should do an
Okay.
episode on
All
Clone
right,
Wars
dude.
though, because it sounds like you and I could talk about Clone Wars
Yeah.
for a minute. But okay,
Yeah.
thanks for anyone who's watching. Again, I'm still fresh to this, so if I did anything wrong, if something you didn't like, please send me messages so I can learn. Don't send me any of your hate though, man. I don't want that. Please tell your friends, and then hopefully we do another show next week, and Maybe I'll have a couple more guests on. My idea is to have at least 3 or 4 of us on at a time. So, all right, I'm gonna stop the stream. So give me a second. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.